Hey everyone, LaMaverick here. Welcome to my channel. I definitely want to thank everyone for tuning in to this video. What I'm talking about today is the 7 things that virtual learning is going to expose about our school system. This is a must watch for parents and teachers. So the very first thing that virtual learning is going to expose about the education system is that there are so many power struggles. Guys, there are power struggles between teachers, parents, students. No one really trusts each other. All right? We're going to see that through virtual learning, there is no consideration for each other's standards and or our individual needs. Okay? There's no partnerships. We all have opposing views. We all have opposing viewpoints. And it's going to really materialize in the virtual classroom. And you know where we're going to see it first? Social media. So stay tuned. The next thing that this entire virtual learning is going to expose is that there is disparities amongst socioeconomic statuses. Now, for so long, there's been controversy about whether race and socioeconomic status affects education. A lot of people think that it didn't matter, but virtual learning is going to show us that it does. Okay, there is systemic and institutionalized racism already embedded in our schools. There's already a geography of opportunity mapped out by our neighborhoods and our school districts, right? And so what this virtual learning is going to show is that in certain areas, the quality of the surrounding supports and resources are completely different, right? Also, the mindset and the ethics of the people who are in the children's mental systems are going to be different too. For example, a child who is from an affluent community or family, they're going to have better supports than a child who does not have those type of privileges. All right, it's just going to be that way. Now, we do have certain students who are not affluent who also still have a good support system at home and good resources at home. Don't get me wrong, right? But it could be different when you compare it to someone who is affluent. All right. Also, there is going to be a huge highlight on what type of experiences our children are exposed to. Okay, again, if we take the same example, the affluent child versus the child who is not as affluent, their experiences may be more rich. Their experiences may be linked to the things that they're learning, right? Whereas our children, they aren't. They're getting on virtual learning, they're learning for a little bit, and then after they're getting off, there's no other experiences to support their learning. So we're going to be able to see that, guys. It's going to show. Also, we're going to be able to see that inclusion is not inclusive. Now, recently, there's been this push for inclusion, right? In the 70s and the 80s, you know, it wasn't really a priority for there to be inclusion inside of a classroom, right? Now there is. We want everyone to feel welcomed no matter what their needs are, whether they have special needs, exceptionalities, what have you. We want everything to be inclusive, right? And also, that accounts for race and social economic status too. We want diversity, right? But guess what? Inclusion is not so inclusive because access to technology and internet can interfere with that. Knowledge on how to operate that technology can interfere with that, and the general understanding of the standards and curriculum that we're expecting our children to learn, right, can interfere with that. Now, we all know Wi-Fi has done a great job in making sure that families have internet in their homes. We know that school districts are distributing Chromebooks, MacBooks, things like that to students. But again, depending on our socioeconomic statuses or our needs or our experiences, we may not know how to operate that technology. We may not have a general understanding of that curriculum. So as parents, right, how are we to support our children at home? It's because teachers and administrators in those schools don't mean that they're going to be utilized appropriately. It's not inclusion, guys. All right? Parents are also getting frustrated because a lot of teachers are distributing assignments not knowing whether or not their students have access to those materials. Inclusion is not so inclusion, guys. inclusive, guys, okay? It's really not, all right? We don't know if we have access to the same materials or learning tools, and we also don't know what type of home life and living conditions students have. Now, students are faced to actually have their background, their home life in the forefront of their education, because everybody can see what's going on in their background on their screen. What if the child doesn't come from? What if the child is embarrassed about something that goes on in there? What if the parent is? How are we making this inclusive for everybody? We don't. And what about people with exceptionalities? Are we making them a priority? I'll tell you one thing. Even when schools were in session, we weren't. And so now that schools are virtual, you guys are going to see just how much of a lack of priority we put on exceptionalities, all right? So we're not making sure that these children are, being educated up to IDEA standard. We're not making sure that they are they're thriving in the least restrictive environment. We're not even going to be able to really keep track of how we are carrying out their IEP. That's going to be hard, right? If a child gets emotional support, how are they going to get that virtual behavioral support? How are they going to get that virtual? They're going to be in the same environment that may be a trigger for their own, right? What if they get ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis? How are they going to get those specialists, right? Learning support, even tutoring, right? Your child doesn't have an IEP that needs extra support with school. So even tutoring, how are we going to get these things out to these children? How are we going to make sure that they are being educated in the least restrictive environment? And how are we going to track that their IEPs are actually being met adequately? It's going to be hard, guys. This is going to put us in a position where we're able to recognize the real from the fake. And when I say this, I'm talking about teachers. There are some exceptional teachers out there, teachers who should be recognized nationally, right? Some teachers are excellent, creative, engaging, excellent at managing behaviors of students, and also with connecting with parents, right? But there are others that need more training and support, and sad to say, most teachers fall into the latter category. All right. So regardless of which category these teachers go into, they're going to be effective because the lesson planning and the execution of the curricula is going to be altered no matter what. All right. And it's going to put the question in the forefront as how are teachers going to start appealing to the emotional intelligence of the student? Teachers are going to have to really dive deep. And this is going to be able to determine the real from the fake. Also, we're going to see that there's a lack of trust between administrators and teachers. We already know that with everything going on as far as the pandemic, virtual learning, everything that's going on, right? That the public's questions, concerns, problems, issues, wants, needs, and demands are going to be dumped directly on teachers by administrators. You know that, right? Administrators are going to offer minimal support to staff because that's just what they do. We work in these big systems and it's the hierarchy. We already know that it's top down, right? So everything's going to be dumped on the staff. And then what's going to happen is the staff is going to be forced to do just enough, which is going to also force the students to pick up on that, and they're going to do just enough. And the parents are going to see it too, and they're going to get frustrated. And you know what they're going to start doing? Just enough. And from there, school's not going to be taken serious, guys. It was already not taken serious in the first place. We already know that the schools were created so that the workforce can thrive and so that these kids can pass these standardized tests. We already know what it is, all right? And so now that everything is going to be virtual, in our face, on social media, man, these kids are going to take school for a complete joke. Education will be seen as invaluable, okay? Parents and teachers are going to get frustrated, and plenty of negative things that already exist within our society are also going to be exposed. Watch. Stay tuned, guys. I'm going to be doing videos about virtual learning, about the urban education system, about the school system at large, about the urban environment. It's about a lot of things, guys. So stay tuned. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment below. Weigh in on this topic. I'm pretty sure there's some things that I didn't even think of to put in this video. So if you think of anything else that virtual learning is going to do about our school system, drop it in the comment below. I would love to respond to everybody and interact with everybody. Thank you for watching.